उत्पद्यते sprout up. Vamshaha of the living being. Shoka, lamentation. Moha, illusion. Bhaya, fearfulness. Apaha, that which extinguishes. Translation: simply by hearing this Vedic literature, the feeling for loving devotional service to Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, sprouts up at once to extinguish the fire of lamentation, illusion, and fearfulness. Purport: there are various senses of which the ear is the most effective. This sense works even when a man is deep asleep. One can protect himself from the hands of an enemy while awake, but while asleep, one is protected by the ear only. The importance of hearing is mentioned here in connection with attaining the highest perfection of life, namely getting free from the three material pangs. Everyone is everyone is full of lamentation at every moment. He is after the mirage of illusory things and is always afraid of his supposed enemy. These are the primary symptoms of material disease. That is shoka, moha, bhaya. And it is definitely suggested hearing that simply by hearing the message of Srimad Bhagavatam, one gets attachment for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna. And as soon as this is affected, the symptoms of the material disease disappear. Srila Vyasadeva was the all perfect personality of Godhead. And in this statement, the all perfect personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna, is clearly confirmed. Is there some difference in reading? The ultimate result of devotional service is to develop genuine love for the Supreme Personality. Love is a word which is often used in relation with man and woman. And love is the only word that can be properly used to indicate the relation between Lord Krishna and the living entities. The living entities are mentioned as Prakriti in Bhagavad Gita, and in Sanskrit, Prakriti is a feminine outside. The Lord is always described as a Parama Purusha, or the supreme male personality. Thus, the affection between the Lord and the living entity is something like that between male and the female. Therefore, the term love of God is quite appropriate. Loving devotional service to the Lord begins with hearing about the Lord. There is no difference between the Lord and the subject matter heard about him. The Lord is absolute in all respects. Thus, there is no difference between him and the subject matter heard about him. Therefore, hearing about him means immediate contact with him by the process of vibration of the transcendental sound. And the transcendental sound is so effective that it acts at once by removing all material affections mentioned above. As mentioned before, a living entity develops a sort of complexity by material association, and the illusory engagement of the material body is accepted as an actual fact. Under such false complexity, the living beings under different categories of life become illusion in different ways. Can you text the device voice to come? Even in the most developed stage of human life, the same illusion prevails in the form of many isms and divides the loving relation with the Lord, and thereby divides the living relation between man and man. By hearing the subject matter of Srimad Bhagavatam, this false complexity of materialism is removed, and real peace in society begins, which politicians aspire for so eagerly in so many political situations. The politicians want a peaceful situation between man and nation, but at the same time, because of too much attachment for material domination, there is illusion and fearfulness. Therefore, the politicians' peace conferences cannot bring about peace in society. It can only be done by hearing the subject matter described in the Srimad Bhagavatam about the Supreme Personality of Godhead Shri Krishna. The foolish politicians may go on holding peace and summit conferences for hundreds of years, but they will fail to achieve success until we reach the stage of re-establishing our Lord's relation with Krishna. The illusion of accepting the body of the self will prevail, and thus fearfulness will also prevail. As for the validity of Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there are hundreds and thousands of evidences from revealed scriptures, and there are hundreds and thousands of evidences from personal experience of devotees in various places like Vrindavan, Navadvip, and Puri. Even in the Kaumudi dictionary, the synonyms of Krishna are given as son of Yashoda and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Parabrahman. The conclusion is that simply by hearing the Vedic literature, Srimad Bhagavatam, one can have direct connection with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna, and thereby one can attain the highest perfection of life by transcending worldly miseries, illusion, and fearfulness. It is a practical test for one who has actually given a submissive hearing to the readings of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Ajnantimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya चक्षुर्मृतं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतः पदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैश्वनांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान् सहगणा ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिधि नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पार्श्वदेशतारिणे। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि प्रिय। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे। हरे कृष्णा। हरे कृष्णा। So I welcome all of you. I welcome all of you for this today's Srimad Bhagavatam class. So it's a very beautiful verse talking about the effect of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. So I'll just in the beginning tell the context of this verse. So if you see the first three chapters of Srimad Bhagavatam, I mean the Canto 1 when we start. So the discussion goes on between Siddhartha Naimisharanya and Sutta Goswami. So they ask 6 questions, and the discussion goes on. Like some of the questions were, what is the duty of a person, what would I original duties of the person, and about the Lord's incarnation. So there are like around 6 questions total. The discussion goes on in the first 3 chapters. And the next 3 chapters, so there is appearance of Srimad Bhagavatam, history, basically history of Srimad Bhagavatam that is described. So basically, we know that how Srila Vyasadeva, he was despondent even after compiling all the Vedic literatures. He was not feeling satisfied. So, and then he takes shelter of his spiritual master Narada Muni, and Narada Muni then tells him about his own experience of hearing the glories of the Lord. The whole episode comes. So he tells his own story, that how he became a devotee. And this is a very exciting thing. Somebody asks, I mean, if somebody has to tell about his coming to devotional service, his singing to Krishna Master, that is very interesting. So his spiritual master tells how he came to Krishna Master, how he became Narada. It's a very wonderful story comes that how he was Narada boy, and then he was the servant of, I mean, the son of a maid servant lady. And then Chaturmas time, some Bhakti Vedantis, they came to that village, and she was serving, mother was assisting. And this small boy, Narada boy, he also got to associate, serve also, assisting his mother, and also he got to associate with them. Especially, he could hear the glories of the Lord, which was narrated by the Bhakti Vedanta there. And that's how Narada boy becomes Narada eventually. So that was the effect of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, or hearing the glories of the Lord. So that happened. So this is so in these 3 chapters it comes, chapter 4, 5, 6. And then as a concluding verse, Narada Muni tells about how this is the ultimate remedy for anyone to come out of all sufferings. And what is that? That is hearing the glories of the Lord constantly. That's what the concluding verse comes. Etat yatur chittana matas parsheshyamo Pavasindhu Plavodrishto Haricharya Anuvarnanam. So there was so like yesterday also it was described in Srimad Bhagavatam. Yesterday's class was first mentioned that how etat yatur chittana matra spashyam, that how the conditioned living entities, they're always very much anxious, atur, for having some gratification. Always their mind is duped in some gratification, always hankering for sense objects. So etati atur chittana matra sparsheshyam. So always wanting to come in contact with sense objects, always hankering for sense objects. That's what happens with the living. Yes, matra sparsheshyam muhu means always. Bhavasindhu Plavodishta. For such a person, what the hope? How can such a person who is always anxious for sense gratification, in such a state, how he can cross over this ocean of birth and death? How can he can cross over the ocean of the science? So it is very important, relevant thing for us because we all have similar kind of issue. Because our somehow our material mind, conditioned mind is always anxious for sense gratification. So how we can cross over the ocean of birth and death? So Narmani says such a person should sit on a boat. So what is that boat? Hari Charya Anuvarana. This is Bhavasindhu Plavodrishta. Plavo means boat. Bhavasindhu Plavodrishta. Hari Charya Anuvarana. So the person should sit on the boat of constant hearing of the glories of the Lord. So when we constantly hear the glories of the Lord, then actually we are sitting on that boat and then will not be affected by so many obstacles created in this material world. And one can very smoothly sail through this ocean of material existence and one can cross over this ocean of birth and death and can actually attain the mercy of the Lord and love of God and can go back to God. This is how Narmadi concludes that way. So, so in the fourth chapter also, there are some more questions with which Siddharth Namashani actually they posed to Sudha Goswami. So, fourth chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. So they asked that, what is the history of Srimad Bhagavatam? That's what I told. Chapter 4, 5, 6, it talks about history of Srimad Bhagavatam. And then also the question was asked about Parikshit Maharaja's birth and activities. So how this Parikshit Maharaj, how his appearance happened, what were his activities, and how he renounced everything, and how it took shelter of Sukadeva Goswami. So all that question was asked. And the third question was asked was that how Sukadeva Goswami, he appeared in Hastinapur, and then what happened in that meeting, and how the Parikshit Maharaj took shelter of Sukadeva Goswami and what happened. So all these three questions were asked. So now, till this chapter, that means chapter 4, 5th, 6th, and this 7th till 12th verse, the history of Srimad Bhagavatam is going on. As I said, how Srimad Bhagavatam, actually Narad Muni suggested that Vyasadeva should now write because he was despondent. So that's how he tells from his own example that how he became a devotee by hearing the glories of the Lord, and that's how you should also exclusively glorify the Lord. And that's how he inspires Srila Vyasadeva to actually write Srimad Bhagavatam. So now, now this 7th chapter begins with after hearing this instruction from his Gurudev, Srila Narada Muni, that now he should exclusively write the glorification of the Lord, glorify the Lord in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam. Now, what did Vyasadeva do after that? So, like hearing is one thing, then after hearing, what next thing comes up? Okay, Kirtanam. Then what? When you hear, after hearing, what you should do? Smaran. Okay, let's say I say Siddesh, Prabhu, get me a glass of water. So he hears, and then he does a smaran of, okay, what is it? Action. You have to act also on it, right? So after he heard the instruction, then he was also, what he did then. So that is coming up here. So what we'll do, we will read the translations. You have another mic? We can read one translation so that we understand the context in this chapter. Okay, take this mic. Great. Prabhu, leave it. He'll ready. One. Yes.
Rishi Savan asked, O Sutta, the great and transcendental powers of Vasudev, heard everything from Sri Narad Muni. So after Narada's departure, what did Vasudev do?
So you understood now the context? So after he got that inspiration instruction, now what did Vyasadeva do? So he's talking about what did he do? Yes.
Sri Sutta said, on the western bank of the river Saraswati, which is intimately related to the Vedas, there is a cottage for meditation at
Samya Prash,
which
enlivens
transcendental activities of the.
Yes. In that place,
the Vasudev in his own ashram, which was surrounded by very trees, sat down to meditate after touching water or purification.
yes.
Thus, he fixed his mind, perfectly engaging it by integrating devotional service. Bhakti Yoga, without any danger of materialism. And thus, he saw the absolute personality of Godhead along with its external energy, which was under full control.
Yes.
Even the external energy, the living entity, although coincidental with three modes of material nature, things themselves are product of as material product and thus undergoes the reaction of material nature.
Next.
The material nature of the living entity which has become student can be directly mitigated by linking process of emotional service. The mass of people do not know this, and therefore the grounded Vyasudeva combined with basic system, which is a basic issue.
Now the seventh verse coming. Yes, today we are taking this verse. Yes.
Simply by once giving oral reception to his basic literature, the feeling for loving devotional service to Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, sprouts up at once to extinguish the fire of lamentation, illusion, and fearfulness.
Yes, go ahead.
After acquiring the Shivanodam and requiring according to his monster, who was already engaged in
Yeah, now for the Sukdev Goswami is absolute calm. So anyway, so we'll stop here. Give me. Yeah. Okay, so let us go to the verse 7. Yeah. For the verse 9. Vishwanath asked the Goswami, Sukdev Goswami was already on the path of separation, that he was pleased with his sponsor. So why did he take the trouble to undergo the study of such a path? Further thing. Then he says, he was Atmaram, but still the Lord's transcendent qualities are very attractive, including to liberated souls. Sukdev Goswami was liberated, even though he was attracted to the qualities of the Lord. Sagar, please come. Yeah. Yeah, welcome. Both of you. You are in service?
Yes.
Okay, the 7th verse. Simply by once giving oral reception to this Vedic literature, the feeling for loving devotional service to the Lord, the Supreme Pathetic Godhead sprouts up at once to extinguish the fire of lamentation, illusion, and fearfulness. Okay. So let us now discuss. I think blessings of all the restaurants here and discuss something which will be helpful for all of us. You are able to see. This can be minimized. No? Fine, no? Yeah. Okay, so he says there are various senses of which the ear is the most effective. This sense works even when a man is deep asleep. So it is said that ear is till end of the death, means, I mean, till one dies, no? Or I mean to say that When somebody is dying, the ear is the last organ which stops functioning. Last organ. So it's like the Lord gives the opportunity, okay, even at the last, verge of when he's leaving the body, at least if he can somehow hear about the Lord or holy name, so he may be saved. He might be going to some not good destination, he could be saved. So that's why the ear is actually very important, for all of us, because our process is Shruta function. Shruta Ikshata Pantha means that the process of devotional service, the process of realization is through ears, through ear, by hearing. So people say that, show me God. Too much stress on seeing. But actually, we understand from the message of Guru Parampara that the whole process of self-realization actually depends upon hearing. That is through ear. So we see God through ear. So ear is very important for us. We don't too much put stress on eyes. Of course, we use our eyes in Krishna's service by taking darshan of the deities, by doing for different devotional service. That's fine. But the ear is something very important, because we can have self-realization by the proper use of ear, this hearing faculty. So one can protect himself from the hands of enemy while awake, but while asleep, one is protected by the ear only. The importance of hearing is mentioned here in connection with attaining the highest perfection of life. So two benefits are given. Shoka moha bhaya paha, that means lamentation, fear and illusion goes away. And bhakti rutpadite pumsa, the love is awakened. The love for the Supreme Lord is awakened. So Srila Vishwanath Thakur says that is the primary benefit. By hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, the primary benefit is what? That you awaken your love for Krishna. Because that is what we are desiring, Krishna Prem. Every day we repeat this. What is the goal of all our reading, hearing, chanting, everything? Attaining Krishna Prema. We want to love Krishna, offer our heart to Krishna, serve Krishna. That's what we are looking for. But yes, and the secondary benefit is Shoka Moha Bhaya Apaha. That means that lamentation, illusion, and fear, one gets rid of them also. And that is basically the suffering of the conditioned living entity. The Shoka Moha Bhaya is always affected by this. So he gets freed from the Shoka Moha Bhaya, and he has awakened the love, and the love of God is awakened. The importance of hearing is mentioned here in connection with that. Okay. Everyone is full of lamentation every moment. Is after the mirage of illusory things. So lamentation about past, something somebody has lost or something, lamentation about past. And in the present is after the mirage of illusory things. So many illusory, chase in different varieties of, sense gratification. One remains in illusion. And is always afraid of his supposed enemy. And is always having some fear, some kind of insecurity feeling, some fear of future. So these are the primary symptoms of the mental disease. And it is definitely suggested herein that simply by hearing the message of Srimad Bhagavatam, one gets attachment for the Supreme Personality Goddess Shri Krishna. And as soon as you become attached to Krishna, then automatically this mental disease of Shoka Moha Bhaya will go away. So, and Srila Vyasadeva saw the perfect personality Godhead, that is Krishna himself. He saw the all perfect personality Godhead, and this statement is clearly confirmed that all perfect personality Godhead is Krishna. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Etatantra Kala Pamcham. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Indrani Vyakulam Lokam Hridayanti. The ultimate result of devotional service is develop genuine love for the Supreme Personality. There is a word. Okay. So now the love actually exists between Prakriti and Purusha. And in this world, generally women, I can say Prakriti, and Purusha is the man, male, female. And that's how they think this is the love going on. Actually, that's an illusion, because everybody is Prakriti. The man is also Prakriti, woman is also Prakriti in his original nature. Because soul is actually Prakriti. Prakriti means he is the enjoyer. Yeah. He is subordinate. And the Lord is the Parama Purusha. He is the superior. He is the Purusha. He is the enjoyer. So all the living entities, they may be in different bodies. Somebody may be in male body, somebody may be in female body. But just by having a male body doesn't mean he becomes enjoyer. So in this world you find the male also wants to enjoy, female also wants to enjoy. Actually both are Prakriti, but both are trying to be enjoyer. Both are trying to be Purusha. Male is also not Purusha, actually. He is also Prakriti. And female is also Prakriti. Both are supposed to be subordinate to the Supreme Lord. Both are enjoyed. They are not enjoyer. But falsely they, think themselves to be enjoyer. So both of them, trying to be enjoyer. So the male is also trying to be enjoyer, female also trying to be enjoyer. So both are trying to become Purusha. That way. That is. So both are actually, having a wrong conception of being an enjoyer. But they are both a Prakriti. So that way the soul has that nature to be enjoyed. That is the Prakriti. That is feminine object. That way. And the Lord is our the Supreme Master, Supreme Purusha, our eternal husband, eternal master, and we are subordinate to him. Thus, the affection between the Lord and the living entities is something like that between the male and female. Therefore, the term love of God is quite appropriate. So, love only exists between Lord and the Jiva. All other varieties of the so-called exchange of affection on the material platform is not love. That is born illusion, because somebody is thinking I'm the enjoyer, and they are thinking falsely themselves to be enjoyer. So that way, it is not the real love. The love exists between the Paramapurusha, Supreme Lord, and the Prakriti, that is the living entity. And the process of devotional service actually reinstates us in our original position of being Prakriti. Then we can actually have the real love, the experience of real love with the Lord. And then, and with other living entities also, how the love is reposed to other living entities, that is in connection with Krishna. That means it's like, when you have love for your, when you have love for your parents, the love is pervading to all your brothers and sisters also. Correct. So when the love is towards Krishna, then you automatically have that kind of affection for all the living entities, because you see them dear to Krishna. So that way your love for other living entities also pervades, and that comes in the form of compassion. Actually, that's how the living entities. That's how the devotee who becomes self-realized, who has awakened his love for Krishna. So then what happens? He becomes very compassionate also. He wants to see that everybody receives that love of Krishna, and that's how the love takes, form of compassion. The loving devotional service to the Lord begins with hearing about the Lord. There is no difference between the Lord and the subject matter heard about him. So the Lord is absolute in nature. So Lord, his name, his form, his pastimes, his attributes, all are one. So there is no difference. So when you are hearing about Krishna, then actually you are associating with Krishna. When you are chanting the names of Krishna, you are associating with Krishna. The Lord is absolute in all respects. Therefore, hearing about him means immediate contact by the process of vibration of the transcendental sound. So as soon as you hear the holy name of Krishna, you hear the holy fame of Krishna, you have the darshan of the deity of the Lord, and you are engaged in service, it's all absolute. So as soon as we come in touch with transcendental sound, then we are actually associating with Krishna directly. All the transcendental sound is so effective, and the transcendental sound is so effective that it acts at once by removing all mental affections mentioned above. So this is amazing potency of getting associated with Krishna. Sometimes you will be thinking that okay, gradual. Of course, it's a gradual process of Krishna consciousness is considered to be a gradual process. But actually, the point is, as soon as one comes in touch with the transcendental sound, if you can just have, when one can pay attention to the transcendental sound, so immediately he gets Krishna touch. And the effect of Krishna touch is that immediately that complexity which has got arisen, in our system, it gets disappeared. It can actually break through. It can disable that. The potency is there. So you see that the transcendental sound is so effective that it acts at once by removing all mental affections mentioned above. Shoka, Moha, Bhaya. So as mentioned before, a living entity develops a sort of complexity by mental association. And the illusory engagement of the mental body is accepted as an actual fact. Under such false complexity, the living beings under different categories of life become illusion in different ways. In the most developed stage of human life, the same illusion prevails in the form of many isms. Okay. So this illusion takes so many kinds of psychologies, so many kind of isms. Fine. So this kind of complexity is there. How many factors the mind has become so complex? Our mind is so complex sometimes. It's very difficult to even understand one's own psychology. The way it has become so intertwined. I don't know the exact word. But the whole mind, becomes so perplexed, so bewildered, so confused, illusion, complex. It's not easy. Many psychiatrists, those who try to treat some person who has some mental issue, many of the psychiatrists also get the issue. Sometimes many psychiatrists also commit suicide. They have gone to depression. They have, they have to take help of further some psychiatrists. So because the mind is so complex.
They start facing the same insecurity.
So because mind is very complex. So this illusion is very, very complex. Now, we may not be able to understand this illusion. It is so complex. So there is no point of trying to understand, but basically what has to do? One has to take a shelter. So what psychiatrists may try to do, they may try to understand, okay, what happened, how does he feel, how does he respond? So many things they will try to do. They will try to help the person, on the merit of the problem. They may try to do. But the point is that the illusions are complex, that is not easy. So that's why Srimad Bhagavatam gives solution. You don't, get into too much of analysis of the illusion. Rather, what you do, you focus on Krishna. You take the shelter of the Lord. Devi Shaganamai, Mama Maya Duratya. It is impossible for you to overcome this illusion on your own strength, on your own endeavor. It's not possible. So your endeavors could be only to take shelter of the Lord. So once you take shelter of the Lord will help us to come out of the illusion. Mama evaya prapadyante mayam etam taradite. That's the solution. So that's why one need not worry too much, about how much one is, how much one's mind is in Maya, how much one is, in illusion or not in illusion, you don't have to worry. The liberated soul, if you are feeling that you are liberated, they also take shelter of the Lord. They also take shelter of the devotion. Like Sukdev Goswami. Sukdev Goswami is liberated, Atmaram, but he is also taking shelter of the Lord. He is also engaging in devotion service. And somebody may be in very conditioned state, he may be in Maya, maybe in so much of illusion. He also is supposed to take shelter of the devotion, the shelter of the Lord and devotional service. So there's only one eternal real engagement of the divinity, that is devotional service. And that's how he can be truly happy. So that's what he says, under such small complexity, the living beings are under different categories of lying, become illusion in different ways. So this solution of hearing, is something which is focused repeatedly in Srimad Bhagavatam, and our Parikshit Maharaj is hearing champion. What he's doing 7 days and nights, just simply hearing. So that and we see the example of in the case of Haridas Thakur, the prostitute who came. So there also that prostitute only heard the Hare Krishna mantra from the lips of a pure devotee, and then she also got purified. You see, she also became a pure devotee. So there are so many incidences where a person just by hearing chanting has become fully purified. So that is the ultimate solution for us to come out of all the illusion. Is what is mentioned here. So I will little bit also discuss from the 11th canto. So let us go to the verse. This is 11.13. So there some very beautiful discussion comes, which you all may find very relevant. Then we'll come back to this verse. So he says, the sages headed by Sanaka said. So what is happening in this canto, in this particular chapter? So the Sanak Rishi and other sages, they actually approached Lord Brahma with this question about how the mind is duped in gratification, how we can be relieved. So we will see the question. So Brahmaji, actually he himself feels not qualified to answer this question, because he feels that he himself got affected in the course of doing this duty of creation. He feels he is actually affected, so he is not able to get the right answer. So then he takes shelter of the Lord. And then the Lord appears in the form of Hamsa, Swan incarnation. And then he gives powerful solution. It's amazing. If you read this, it's amazing. So very relevant. So let's read the question. They say the sages headed by Sonaka said, "O Lord, people's mind are naturally attracted to material sense objects. And similarly, the sense objects in the form of desire enter in the mind." Do you understand what is happening? It got so mixed. Mind and sense object in mind. Mind has gone into sense objects, and sense object is entering into the mind. It has become like that. Therefore, how can a person who desires liberation, who desires to cross over activities of some gratification, destroy this mutual relationship between the sense object and the mind? Please explain this to us. Say this. Hold this. 13 chapter. Yeah. Okay. So let's see further. Yes, it says when it's conditioned, so the more the material nature manifests in the form sense of this constantly disturb the mind, and by the harassment when it's deprived of the actual production of life. Okay. So then it says, yeah, so he says the intelligence of Brahma, however, was affected by his own activities of creation. Thus, he could not discover the essential answer to this question. Answer to this question. So Brahma desires to obtain the answer, and that's how he gets the answer in the form. I mean, the Lord appears in the form of Hamsa, swan incarnation. Okay, and then the very long conversation goes on in terms of they ask the question, "Who are you?" And it was amazing, kind of sarcastic way Lord answers the question and establishes that the Jiva and the Lord cannot be one, and the living entity is eternally separated part and parcel of Krishna. That's the essence of the whole answer. But the way Lord does the conversation is amazing. If you want, you can read it later. So we'll not go there. So first, Lord establishes Sambandha Gyan, that you are the living entity, part and parcel of me, and you and me are one in quality, but not in quantity. He says this is a conclusion of the whole thing. Anyway, and then Lord acknowledges what the question they asked. So Lord says, somebody can read, my dear sons.
Mind has a natural proclivity.
Okay, I'll read. The mind has a natural proclivity. Now go ahead. To enter
into the material sense object, and similarly the sense objects enter into the mind. But both this material mind and the sense objects are merely designations that cover the spiritual soul, spirit soul, who is part and parcel of me.
Yeah. So let us. Okay, this is which verse? 25th, no? Give me the mic. Okay. If any second mic is also there, in case somebody I tell to read, then you can have a second mic also. Okay. So it says it is a natural function of the material mind. I'll show you. I'm reading here. It is a natural function of the material mind and sense objects to mutually interact. How can you possibly endeavor to prevent such a mutual attraction? Since both the material mind and the sense objects are useless, they both should be completely given up, and thus ultimately you will be free from all materiality. Swami points out that the symptom of the material mind is the tendency to consider oneself as the ultimate doer and inspirer. Note this point. This is the symptom of a material mind. So remember this. Material mind means what? It considers oneself to be ultimate doer and inspirer. And that's how the whole problem comes. Naturally, one will be puffed up by this mentality and helplessly attracted by the sense objects. This is this. Okay. Next to this. And then he says, therefore, one should cultivate the knowledge of this falsity of sense gratification. And by intelligence, one must realize. Okay. So here he says. He says, by intelligence, one must realize one's eternal form is spirit soul, part and parcel of the Lord, and completely reject the bogus material mentality. One who revives his spiritual mentality becomes automatically detached from material attraction. Okay. So let us move a little further. Jai Shri Radha Gopi Vallabha ki Jai, Shri Bhagwan Prabhu Vivana Bhalte Suramaya ki Jai. Then he says, a person who has thus achieved me by understanding that he is not different from me, that means in quality, realizes that the material mind is lost within the sense object. See, material mind is lost within the sense objects. You know, so it's like a complete dipped. You know? Like both of them are inseparable because of constant sense gratification, and that the material objects are existing prominently within the material mind. Having understood my transcendental nature, he gives up both the material mind and its objects. Okay. So I'll read and then I'll just conclude. So what he says, giving up material mind does not mean giving up mental activities. See here, I'm reading. Giving up the material mind does not mean giving up all mental activities, but instead means purifying the mind and engaging one's enlightened mentality in the devotional service. And then he says, if one retains, if one retains a material mentality, Considering oneself to be supreme, one may renounce sense gratification, considering it to be ultimately the cause of unhappiness, but one will not be able to remain on such an artificial platform, nor will such renunciation serve any purpose. Without surrender to the lotus feet of the Lord, mere renunciation cannot take one out of this material world. Then he says further, see, when the living entity is completely absorbed in his identity as a part and parcel of the personality of Godhead, he becomes actually wise and easily give up the material mind and sense objects. The word Madhurupa in this verse indicates absorption of the mind in the form, qualities, pastimes, and associates of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In such a ecstatic meditation, one should render devotional service to the Lord, and thus one will be this will automatically drive away the influence of sense gratification. By himself, the living entity does not have the potency to give up. It's powerful. Himself, the living entity does not have the potency to give up his false identification with the material mind and sense objects. But by worshipping the Lord in the mood of being his eternal partner, parcel servant, one is infused with the Lord's potency, which easily drives away the darkness of ignorance. So look, the conclusion I'll just tell, there are long discussion, but in conclusion, what we can speak is, see, the material mind and interaction with sense object, it is impossible to not have that, because material mind, it identifies itself, thinks itself because of the influence of false ego, that is the enjoyer. So because of that, it is impossible to separate the material mind and sense objects. They've completely got mixed. It's just not possible. So if somebody, without taking shelter of the Lord, without devotional service, if he wants to get rid of the sense gratification, it's impossible. It's just not possible. Because that's the nature of material mind, to always be completely completely get intermingled or intertwined with sense objects. It will be like that. So it will be completely dipped, just like the gulab jamun is dipped in chasni, like that. You cannot separate the both. It's completely dipped there. So material mind and sense objects like enter the mind, and mind has gone into sense objects. It's completely intermingled like that. So what he says, by taking shelter of the Lord, by performing devotions, then what happens? One gives up the material mind. So you reject the entire package. And then what happens? You have a spiritual mind then. So you give up the material mind and you develop a spiritual mind. That means you get another realm now. And you reject that. You reject the material mind. Rejecting the material mind means what? He says you reject that mentality. What mentality? Enjoying mentality. And the rejection of enjoying mentality is rejection of that material mind. And how that rejection of material mind happens, rejection of enjoying mentality happens, by the linking process of devotional service. So when you engage in devotional service, when you pay attention to the transcendental sound vibration, then this enjoying mentality is cured. That is the amazing thing about devotional program, which doesn't happen in other programs. Yogi, Jnani and all, they don't get that. Karmi, Yogi, Jnani, they don't get that. But by coming in connection with the Lord through devotional service, immediately this mentality is rectified. That means the material mind, you give up. You getting this point? No? So when you give up that, then further that inclination for sense objects will go away. Because that is developed enjoying mentality. That's why it is said the person who has given a sense enjoying mentality is like sometimes the serpent who may be looking very dangerous. Like he has like cobra or something. But if the poisonous tooth is removed, then the serpent becomes completely harmless. In the same way, the tooth of enjoying mentality, when this is removed, when somebody is given up that material mind, or he doesn't identify with that, then what happens? Then one actually, then he finds no harm. But still, the Bhagavatam says, till one actually gives up this material world, goes back to Godhead, one should always be cautious. Because material mind is just next there. Even if somebody is engaged in devotional service, there is always a tendency, there is always a chance one can again switch back to the material mind, because of pride. That's why he gives, in the purport, the Acharyas say that even though Brahmaji was so exalted, he has got benedictions and boon that he will, be always in a very limited platform, but even he got a bit affected because of the duties of creation. So there, in the purport, they mentioned that that's why even very advanced devotee also has to be careful, because sometimes, some kind of pride may arise and one may again fall back to the material mind. It's possible that way. Why I do this? Just to help us understand that how there's only one way, by which one can give up this whole entire programs and certification. That is by engaging in devotional service and rectifying this mentality, enjoying mentality. That means giving up this material mind at all completely. So if you don't do that, it is not possible. Sorry, sir, it's not possible. If you don't take shelter of the Lord, if you don't engage in devotional service, it is not possible at all. So that's why it's important, the whole discussion. So ultimately, taking shelter of the Lord. This is what the previous verse also was mentioning, 1.7. So anyway, so I'll just show one more verse. This is 3.4.25. Let's do that. It's amazing. Okay. So it says, yeah. So this is amazing, you see. What it says, so because we're talking about hearing, so this is something very helpful. It says, in this age, hearing is more important than thinking. Hearing is more important than thinking. We say, always think of Krishna, never forget Krishna. Correct? So he says, in this case, hearing is more important than thinking, because one's thinking may be disturbed by mental agitation. So if you have, so we understood, that we have to be always remembering Krishna, or always linking for devotional. So all our chanting, reading, hearing ultimately is so that we can be Krishna conscious. We can always be, in thoughts of Krishna. But he says that thinking will be disturbed by mental agitation. But he says if one concentrates on hearing, he'll be forced to associate with sound vibration of Krishna. You see. So this hearing process is so foolproof, it's so amazing that if you can pay attention to the transfer of sound vibration through hearing, then what is happening? Somebody can help me? What's happening? Huh? Loudly, can you say? Yeah, so it says one will be forced to associate with, where is it written? Where it is? Yeah, he'll be forced to associate with the sound vibration of Krishna. And the point is, the fact is, Krishna and the sound vibration are non-different. So when you'll be forced to associate with sound vibration of Krishna, means you'll be forced to associate with Krishna. That means you're forced to think of Krishna. It says, no? So sound vibration of Krishna are non-different. So if one loudly vibrates Hare Krishna, he will not be able to think of Krishna. Oh, sorry, he will be able to think of Krishna immediately. You understand, no? So see, this is the amazing benefit of hearing. So sometimes, when we say, Prabhu, he's a very advanced devotee. What happens to him? He has Leela Smaran, he can just think, can have a Leela Smaran. Can always remember the Lord's glories and pastimes, He's always Krishna conscious. We may have very kind of esoteric idea about advanced Vaishnava like this, correct? He's always thinking of the past. He's always in the pastime of the Lord Prabhu. But see, the process of hearing is so amazing that you can be having Leela Smaran. How? You simply put on the tape of a Guru Maharaj and hear the lecture, Bhagavatam class or some pastimes of the Lord being narrated, and you simply pay attention to that sound vibration. And what is happening? That time you are not associating with mind. You are giving up the material mind, you see. And then you are associating with Krishna. So you are actually with Krishna at that time. And you are actually thinking of Krishna's pastime, you see, because you're paying attention there. So you are automatically thinking, Smaran, the Leela of Smaran is automatically happening just by paying attention to that sound vibration. But let's say it is told, Vishal, to sit and think of the Lord. Abhi main Leela Smaran karunga. I will sit and think of the Lord. So, it will be too difficult because it is here Prabhupada is writing. What happens that mind is so agitated. So you may begin doing some kind of Leela Smaran, but then our project Leela Smaran may happen. Something going on, some anxiety, next where we have to go and what job, what promotion, so many things, right? So mind can be disturbed. Like once one senior devotee was telling, he came to take darshan. of the Lordship. So I started seeing the lotus feet of the Lord, and then he was taking darshan. You know how we have the standard procedure. First, like looking up, at the lotus thigh of the Lord. Then he saw okay, Pitamri, it's a dhoti of the Lord. Then he remembered his dhoti. Oh, I did not dye my dhoti. I have another service in the evening. Oh, I forgot. Then the darshan was interrupted. Like that. So mind just gets some thought will just pop out, like that. So Prabhupada says just like in the pond, suddenly bubbles will rise, comes. So like that, mind will, in the mind, so many thoughts will gush. It will keep coming. So the point is just not very difficult like that. But see what happens is when you consciously try to put attention, to this sound vibration, because sound vibration is available. That's why we say that Krishna is so merciful that he has appeared in the form of holy name. You understand? Krishna is so merciful that he has appeared in the form of narration, Srimad Bhagavatam. Correct? Because you can actually pay attention to that sound vibration. That's how you can associate with Krishna. So when you associate with Krishna, you're not associating with your mind. That's an amazing thing. So now the point is, okay, if I don't read, hear, and chant, then what I do? Then also you hear. But whom you hear proves whom we hear then? We hear our mind, because mind is always eager to give his association to us all the time. So mind is like a chatterbox. Chat, 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 always keep speaking all the time. So if you are not hearing Guru Sadhu Shastra, if you are not hearing the transcendental sound vibration, then we are forced to hear our mind. And that's why we say we are a mental platform. That's what I said. All the narration was a mental platform. Except somebody who is strictly hearing and applying the teachings received in Guru Parampara, is acting as per that. Only that person is on a mental platform. Otherwise, everybody is on a mental platform. Manorathena, asito dhavato bahi. Everybody is riding on the chariot of mind. What we are speaking, this is happening, that is happening, that job, this, good thing happened, that bad thing happened. So many things on mental platform. Yeah, so many things will keep talking, and it will all look normal to us. It will all look normal to us. But actually, it's all material mind thinking so many things. So it always keeps speaking so many things. So when we don't associate with transcendental sound vibration, if we're not paying attention there, then we are actually paying attention to our mind. We are hearing constantly our mind. And it can happen even in japa also. In japa, what we are doing? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And what mind is saying? Chat, 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 chat. That's what mind is also doing. So if your chanting is not so much you're trying to pay attention, then what happens? Then you will end up hearing chat, chat, chat only. Chat, 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 chat. Chanting over 16 not, but only we heard chat, 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 chat of mind. That's why you find after completing 16 rounds, one will find flat. क्या हुआ ये क्या है ये you say that nam namakari bahuda nija sarva shakti all the potency of the Lord is in the holy name. But Prabhu, we did not hear the holy name, but we only heard chat 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 only, and chat chat of the mind will always make us drained out. That's what happens. Point is that one has to consciously put endeavor to hear the holy name. So if you find difficulty, one can try somewhere, sit properly or do something, walk. If you're feeling sleepy, if you are still feeling sleepy, run maybe. If you're still feeling sleepy, then take rest maybe. After running after feeling sleepy. But the point is one has to do something. And one should not allow. One should be taking a sankalpa that other day was discussing everything. One has to take sankalpa, not allowing to hear the chapter of the mind. You have to hear the sound vibration. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Because when this is done, the great thing is done. Because what happens, that time you have associated with Krishna. And that potency is there. The purifying potency of the Holy Name is very powerful. So then one can find that how one is got spiritually elevated. One gets strength to give up his material mind. So he gets a spiritual mind eventually. That's what happens. So this is a powerful process. If you can somehow pay attention. That's why so many times people of us go, sit down and hear. So many times. If you write, sit down and hear. There's so many hits in the way. Sit down and hear. So this is our main program. Coming in touch with the sound vibration. If you do that, then we have some Krishna consciousness. So that's why one has to be eager. And one should know if he's not doing this hearing reading program, hearing chanting reading program, then what happens is when he's actually hearing the mind only. I mean, you're hearing the mind, sorry, sir. We'll remain in this butterworth very nicely. Because for many, many millions of lives, we have heard our mind and we have seen what is the current situation, and this is going to continue. If you are not taking any further steps to actually, take our hearing reading program seriously. Yeah, it will not happen on its own. They say that everything goes with time. Time destroys everything, but not ignorance. Ignorance cannot be destroyed by time. For that, one has to consciously take shelter of the holy name, consciously take shelter of the Lord, consciously take shelter of the Lord, performing devotional service. That's all. That is the only solution for getting rid of this disease of avidya. Otherwise, it's not possible. That's why one has to, consciously. So see, such a person who recognizes that, this mind is always doing such like this, and it creates so much of issues, so much of illusion, perplexity, complexities, उसने ऐसा बोला, why did he do like this? But so many unnecessary things, will come. Heart of Krishna is hardly there then. So mind always looks like this, So a person who understands the awkward position, how this, a non-devotee mind is being troubling, harassing him, keeping him away from Krishna. So such a person will to have that fighting spirit. So I will not hear the mind. I will read Bhagavatam now. I will hear the lecture now. He will be eager. He will be eager. When will I read Bhagavatam? When will I hear the lecture? When will I chant the holy name of the Lord? Because I want to associate with Krishna, not with mind. Hell with this fellow mind. I don't want to associate with. You understand this point? Correct? So see, when you recognize, like suppose, like I remember my second stage, there was a fellow who troubled us. So it always be consciously to see that how I should keep away from this fellow. And there was another fellow, there are two fellows. So one fellow was bad fellow, who would always keep troubling different ways. Another fellow was good fellow, and he would protect us. So being with that fellow, we will be saved from this troublesome fellow. So I will be very conscious, not to be with this fellow, some other. Don't be with him. Be with the good fellow only, and who has strength to protect us also. The same way, Krishna is always there to give us protection. So one will become very, consciously eager. You may not have the taste, it's fine, but you will see the need of yours. Oh, I need to hear. But if I don't hear, if I don't read, if I don't chant, then I will remain with non-material. My material mind will nicely remain maintained, and I will always remain in this pool of material existence, just running after this illusory chase of some manifestation. That will be my by default destiny. It's simply rot in this meeting. So this is the only saving grace for us. That's why one has to consciously try, whatever is possible, whatever is possible. One has to really do that yatana kori. One has to chant the holy name, hear the holy name, read, perform devotional service. So that kind of anxiousness and eagerness, when we'll get, when one understands his awkward position, in terms of material mind is always constantly, giving us companion. It's so much so that it's always there, it's always there. Yeah, it's like that. Immediately can flip. Even while you are hearing also, material mind is speaking, you see. The such is happening. That's why we become inattentive, correct? That's what happens. So it is so tricky. Even we are trying to engage in hearing process, also material mind is doing such. So that's why how much we have to be consciously trying to put attention. Understanding is how I'll be saying. So we have to help ourselves. We have to help our own self that by putting us in a good hearing program and consciously trying to be attentive. That's how we can break through this, our tendency of material mind to bind with everything and get rid of this whole material products. Okay. So we'll stop here. I've already extended the time also. But if you have any one question, but it's very amazing because sometimes I find that we may find that how the mind is speculative, but it takes your speaker or some lecture or something or Bhagavatam, just divert your mind from there to something wonderful, some transcendental sound vibration. Immediately you find your relieved. Immediately you feel liberated. You can experience that. You can try that. It's like that. Immediately you'll find. Because what happens is you don't associate with mind then. Because when you're hearing, you don't associate with mind. Just automatically. You may not understand, but actually you're not associating with mind when you're hearing a transcendental sound vibration. This is an amazing thing. So you're automatically Krishna conscious. You're automatically thinking of Krishna when you're hearing, at least for that time. Correct? That is for that time. Yes. If I play a lecture, you are hearing that lecture. For that time, you're only thinking of what those words are coming in. You are receiving that. So then you are not associating with mind. Because the mind, that period of time, mind must have told many things, but you did not hear. You understand what I'm saying? So 5 minutes you heard the lecture, very focused. That 5 minutes, if you have not heard lecture, what would have happened? Vishal, to the mind has spoken first. You have not heard or not is different, but the mind has spoken for sure. And then by default, you will be heard. We have been hearing also those 5 minutes. But what happened when you actually I took a serious sankalp and you heard the transcendental sound? The 5 minutes, what mind spoke, you don't even know. Yes, it doesn't exist for you. See, so we have experience of it. Only thing is that we don't do it that much. That's our problem. So we have to see in our own life how I should increase that. That's why I mentioned that instead of just coming on Saturday, try coming some more days also. Because other days you are hearing another lecture. And that lecture is not only morning, all the time going on. So we are hearing the lecture anyway, lecture of our mind. But sometimes we hear the lecture in Guru also, sometimes. So let us gradually increase our duration of lectures of Guru Parampara, not of the mind. And then gradually we retire from the lecture of the mind. Right now we are in the school of our mind also, which is school of Maya. And we are also taking admission to the school of Bhakti, which is hearing reading program, hearing chanting program. So gradually we are trying to shift from hearing from mind to hearing the transcendental sound vibration. So this is gradual. That's how it is done. But it all depends upon the one's sincerity. If one is very serious and sincere, he won't allow. You see, that's why it is said Krishna consciousness, can be awakened in just 1 minute. Because somebody becomes so determined, I will just like Parikshit Maharaj, I will just submit to the transcendental sound, nothing else. So that kind of very high degree of sincerity will be very rare. But actually, we can try to be somewhat sincere to see how I can increase my hearing reading program. Is that fine, Prabhu? Hare Krishna. Any one question? Yes, Sagar Poo has some question. Vishal Poo is asking.
Yeah, so we're talking about we were talking about love and how the real love towards anyone in this world should resonate with us thinking that they are the part and parcel of Krishna. But is it like really practical in this world? Because we have parents, we have friends whom, if we ever, I just wanted to know, do someone reach on that stage where they feel constant or neutral about everyone, thinking just them to be part and parcel of Krishna and not have that extra sense of love towards the
we can give the example of Srila Prabhupada himself. Srila Prabhupada was a great acharya. So actually, his own family members were having some financial crisis. But Prabhupada was actually not too much eager for that. So what's in his cons money, we cannot, so Prabhupada actually did not allow. He kind of, he asked Mahakish Maharaj, somebody, he asked, so how much we have? He said, we are really in crisis. We don't have much Prabhupada. Because just like any other person also comes these days, we cannot give temples money. But later what happened, after Prabhupada's departure, then we actually found again, some of his family members approached, Prabhupada's family members approached. And then understanding that Prabhupada's mood was bad, but still knowing that Prabhupada's family members, the GBC actually gave some kind of home. Actually what happened, I think for some time it was given, I'm not sure. For some time it was given. Prabhu, details of it? Some home, something was given actually in Calcutta. And then eventually it was sent for some term or something. And then later it was supposed to be given back to Spawn or something. But later they were again asking. So GBC finally gave it, thinking that. So this is what GBC, from GBC side they did. But Prabhupada showed kind of indifference to that. You understand, no? Not like trying to put a special affection to that. Now, in our scenario, we may sometimes do take care of, we may show kind of affection, but not being influenced or too much with that body background. Sometimes we may want to make them devotees, like you may still sometimes, some birthday wishes, something to your family or something like that, You may not make a drastic change, saying that, you have no, your being father and mother has no meaning for me. I am a liberated soul now. Every day, every life I have got father and mother. Sometimes dog father, sometimes cat father, mother. So now this life I have got you as father and mother. What? Beta, what happened to you? We don't have to get an extreme. So we go on with our normal course. The way, as a son, as a brother, as employee, you may go on with your vyavaharic duties. I mean, what are the social and all those norms, you may go on. But we have to cultivate that kind of detachment. So see, brahmacharis and grihasthas, the difference is what in that sense. So brahmacharis are externally also they are supposed to not stay with family. Correct? Externally also renounce that. The grihasthas may stay with family members, they're internally supposed to be renounced. They should not be identifying the family members as their, some eternal connection or something. We should know that these are only some temporary roles they have taken up. So they should practice the renunciation with internally, the renounced spirit should be there. But it doesn't mean that the devotee father will not care for the child. He may also show affection to the child. As a father, he may do that. Because that's a rightful need of the child in that stage. So he may do that. But he will not fail in his duty on a spiritual platform. He will also help the child to become Krishna conscious. So we may also use whatever affection as normal social terms we may offer, but not with the material attachment, not with the material conceptions. One should know that that may help that person to become Krishna conscious. That way you may offer some affection. Like I was told by my superiors, when you go home, take some gifts for your sisters. The gifts of one mother. They had been instructed like that. Because I was sometimes very callous to it. Go. But and they would expect sometimes. Sometimes my mother asked something, I did not give only. And I thought, why should I spend money? No, that's not required. I thought, yeah, some mobile or something. I was too fat, you can say not so mature maybe. So I did that, and then later I was feeling so bad. Later when I got some more understanding, yeah, I did that very badly. I should have not done that. I think that time I just started earning, and then my mother asked for this. Can you give me some mobile or something else? Yeah. I said, why you need that? You already have. And I was thinking I should save money, and I should keep it for them for something like that. Should not be spending like this. I was in my own zone, but that was not good. If I had just bit reciprocated with their affection, they could have been more. Of course, now also they are quite neutral and good to me. It's not like they are really. But what I'm saying is that we could have invested in that relationship, and that they would have helped them. Because as a devotee, we should also be a good example. So a devotee becomes a good son, good father, good mother also in that sense. But not on material attachment platform. So he will do it only for the sake of enhancement of others' Krishna consciousness. That goal should be kept in mind. One should not become overly attached and fail in his spiritual duties. That's the problem. That way it is. Is that clear? Okay. So I think we'll stop here. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanande Hari Bo. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Yeah. Later they did this what so later they gave understanding that how they were actually related to Prabhupada. So that is like devotees they took care. Prabhupada himself showed some kind of indifference. But Prabhupada gave some kind of adjustment Prabhupada did. I'm not remembering the details. Some adjustment Prabhupada did just to take care of them. And then they are supposed to give that property later back when they are financially good. Something like that was some adjustment made. But then when Prabhupada left the planet, somehow they did not have a still financial proper. So then they discussed and they actually gave that. Even after that, so that's what they gave it. They gave it. Even now. We had so many family groups. So our responsibility. They have done it. Yeah. We are not negligent. Correct. Yes. So even though Prabhupada that time shows some indifference, but the devotees they actually did it because they saw the connection, Prabhupada's family, Prabhupada's and everything. So they did it, and that was the right course because social, customs and all one should be also sensitive to that. You know, because he's Acharya who did it, so his family members. Like Krishna also takes care, no? Krishna, he said, no, somebody is dedicating his life to Krishna. The Krishna also does take care of his family members also. So as a devotees also we should be, being sensitive and affectionate to someone who is from his family, somebody is dedicating to Krishna. So devotees also naturally will be more concerned about their well-being and so that is from devotee side. But Prabhupada being an Acharya, he showed kind of some, he showed by example that he said how much money we have, okay, we don't have so much. Then he gave some adjustment, okay, you stay and then later you should return back to ISKCON. Like that's something Prabhupada made it done. But anyway, devotees take care. You want to add something more to anything you want to speak? Want to say something? Okay. Yeah.
बोला कि you are listening to your mind.
हाँ.
सारे लोग कहते हैं मैं तो सोता रहता हूँ टाइम तो how would I?
तो माइंड चलता रहता है वो अलग टॉपिक है
मैं जा तो नीचे सर्विस करने मेरे को बुला गई है
वो बताया
मेरे से I will not fit to mindset.
नहीं उसमें देखो तीन स्टेट बताया it is come I could not tell because time was not there but there was three states wakefulness dream and deep sleep three states are told so Shakti Jagrati and Sapna so all these three states you are actually with mind only thing is
sleep after.
yeah so वो wakefulness sleep के time पे भी mind चलता ही रहता है you are imagining different things there also so wakefulness में भी dream चल रहा है in wakefulness also you are identifying this so many things that also is dreaming so but three states is there so I couldn't test that topic it is there
Oh, same 11th chapter
11th canto
11th chapter
there only
मुझे ना क्या स्पेशली वो स्टोरी होता शॉर्ट अच्छी कह रहे मतलब मैं सुबह
you cannot escape from mind till you actually take shelter of the God and just be fixed in your stance and number
कैसी बात है ये डिवोटी और
डिवोटी दर्शन तो you cannot सुखा मोह दर्शन बुद्धि में मिल जाते हैं
मैं इधर करती प्रभु
वो लिटरली मैं बता दूं ना चीजें
तो मुझे बाकी बॉडी की जरूरत है बाकी बॉडी फिटनेस की जरूरत है
so much the effort to develop that to put the effort is also very